Welcome, everybody, inside the coach's office. I'm your host, Dan Murphy, alongside my co host, Brian Barnes. And Brian, it's Victory Friday here in the state of Michigan. The Lions get a huge 44-30 win over the Cowboys on Thursday Night Football last night. Just a huge win for the Lions. Really felt like a season-saving victory for the Lions last night. What are your initial thoughts?
Initially, my thoughts were, thank goodness they play in an indoor facility. And if I were to go down to the game, I would have been thanking my lucky stars that it was inside, because I act tough, but in no way would I want to coach, play, or sit and watch a game in that weather. And I mean, people in other parts of the country, Green Bay, will disagree, right, and say it's awesome in New England. But man, great response from the Lions. And we talked about that before. Like, we kind of expected them to respond and play better, but we also knew that, they're banged up and emotionally kind of spent as well. But, for all the criticism, like the last time we talked, I talked about Dan Campbell a little bit, but he gets a ton of credit for what happened last night, right? And the way they responded. And it was a weird buzz. Like, it didn't seem as on fire as it did some of the other big games that they had, but still, like, game management and the decision-making we felt were a lot better. And specifically schematically, like, I don't have the play charts in front of me, right, compared to other games, but I did feel like they ran a little bit more of their G scheme where their guards pulled and kicked out, and more power with a tight end leading up as well than they had before. And I think that helped their interior offensive line a little bit, which obviously has been a topic of discussion for how they've played this season. Defensively, I thought, even though they gave up 30 points, I still thought they played fairly well. Like, to me, that score is more typical of the NFL nowadays than the game against Philadelphia, where it was like that low-scoring game, right? And that they had a little bit more pressure. I don't think Aiden Hutchinson registered a sack, but I think he had like 10 pressures this game.
10 pressures, yeah.
Yeah, so solid by him. And they had some timely interceptions. The DJ Reed interception was really cool. Another big point to me is, like, they don't play for another 9 days, and that's something, like, those guys can, like, relax and hopefully, right, not bang each other. Who knows? Again, that's been a topic we talked about, how hard they play in practice, but still 9 days before they play meaningful, game type situation, which is huge. And then Jared Goff had some big third down throws, right? And I've been critical of him before, but he really did. So overall, I know there's still some health questions and concerns moving forward, but overall, just in terms of getting a W, like, I was hopeful they were going to be 9-4 after this 3-game home stretch. Like I talked about that, but 8-5, I think their playoff prediction percentage was over 50% now that they had on the game last night. Right. So a lot to feel good about, regardless of how the rest of the season plays out. And regardless of if they make the playoffs, how deep of a run it is going to be. Just for one night, good response.
Yeah, the thing that I noticed the most, especially right off the bat, it was 2 of the first 3 plays, screen plays.
Yeah.
They ran a lot more of their screen game. And Gibbs, this second game in a row, they haven't really been able to get him going between the tackles, but they found other ways to get him the ball. And that included screens, that included just, getting him the ball in the flat and some swing routes, getting the ball over the middle, just getting the ball in his hands. He may be the most dynamic player in the NFL going today. And just to be able to get the ball in his hands in space was so huge last night.
Yeah, and you and I talked about that previously, right? About the importance of their screen game and how much how we felt they weren't running it as much this year as they did a year ago. And there's a couple tries to get the ball to Jameson Williams. Like, he caught the one big screen. He actually caught it from, it was a 3-receiver set. He caught it from the middle spot, which I thought was designed awesome. They even tried to get one to Dan Skipper. I don't know if that was going to be a screen but just trying to get.
Well, you know what happened on that play? So they had Skipper lined out wide, and the plan, I think it was 2 options. If nobody covered him at all, he was completely wide open. They were going to throw. The plan was to throw to him. Yeah. And I think Skipper probably thought, there's no way in hell I'm ever getting the ball. Right. So I think the other part of the play was just, hey, just motion in, and whatever the play was going to be. So he started to motion in. McGoff had already made the decision. There's nobody covering you. I'm going to throw you the ball. Right. And he threw him as he's trying to motion in, and it was, man.
So he practiced.
They avoided disaster.
So maybe Skipper had practice opportunities catching the ball while not moving, but coming in motion. He hadn't worked on that skill.
Catching the ball on the move was a little bit more challenging for the
no doubt.
6'9", 300-pounder.
Right, but you mentioned getting Jahmyr Gibbs the ball. They did have a couple cool design screens to him, like you said, like swing routes. That was pretty cool. And I think he had 7 catches last night. And with all this injuries and issues they're having and stuff, like he is a difference maker. Like some of the numbers you put on the site today about what he's done in his career already is just like Hall of Fame worthy. Like on that trajectory, man. Like, so he is like an X factor. Even though they're not perfect, he's that good.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's go ahead and pop up. I'm going to pop up these stats here, Brian, just get into it a little bit. Nothing in terms of just the, kind of similar to last week where there wasn't like a lot of differences in terms of yards and those type of things. But the things that stand out are the turnovers. Lions defense was able to get 3 turnovers off of the Cowboys, and also the sacks. The Lions were able to get some pressure where the last couple of games, I think they had 1 sack over the last 2 games. They were able to get 5 sacks in this one. Those were the 2, I think, key stats from this game last night.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And you ask any coach, like, or go back throughout history, like turnovers are the one statistic that really is the difference between winning and losing most of the time. And, one other thing that stood out to me is the Cowboys ran about almost 20 more plays than the Lions. But part of that is because the Lions led the whole game and the Cowboys were playing catch up. You know what I'm saying? And so Dallas had to play a little bit faster and get that going a little bit for their offense. So that's not a knock on the Lions by any means, but you're right. I mean, Dallas's offensive line isn't one of the best necessarily, but I don't think the Lions care. Like, they feel good about how they play defensively.
Yeah, and somebody really showed up that we haven't seen in a while was Muhammad. 3 sacks last night. And the problem with the Lions for a while has been, just not having another pass rusher on the other side of Hutchinson. And when Hutchinson gets 10 pressures alone, he didn't get any sacks, but to get 10 pressures, that should open up the opportunities for the opposite side defensive end. And it definitely did for Muhammad, getting 3 sacks last night, which were huge.
And we talked about it last week a little bit with how the Packers schemed up Micah Parsons a little bit. Like, he wasn't just coming off the edge, right? He was looping inside in the A gap and B gap and doing some things. I mean, a lot of times when it comes to pressure on the quarterback, it's about matchups too, right? So Muhammad obviously, was doing what he had to do to beat the guy in front of him and create that chaos, right? And so credit the Lions, credit Kelvin Shepherd. I mean, again, 30 points is a lot, but like I said, I think it's more of the state of the NFL than anything that amount of points was scored against them. And so you look at it like feel pretty good about the defense last night.
To a degree, definitely the pass rush was highly encouraging, but still the secondary, I think there's a lot of issues there, and this is 3 games in a row where that secondary's got lit up a little bit, and now you add the fact that towards the end of that game, Brian Branch, man, torn Achilles, going to be out the rest of the year. I mean, hate to say it, man, that's something that could affect your whole career, but it's definitely going to linger into the next season. I would highly doubt that he would start week 1. I mean, that's a very, very significant injury to a key player on this defense.
Yeah, not just Pro Bowl player, like, one all pro almost, right? One of the best safeties in the league, and puts more onus on Avonte Maddox, who did a decent job last night, local guy from the Detroit area. And obviously it's a big loss, right? But again, they were going against 2 pretty good receivers in George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb, and that's going to happen occasionally when you see good receivers. Unfortunately for them, when they go to LA in a couple of weeks, and they're going to see some pretty good receivers there too, right? Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams. So again, like, can the Lions keep outscoring teams like this? Probably not. Right. But that's something they got 9 days to figure it out, to put the best game plan together and go from there.
Yeah. So, another aspect of, we had talked about the interior offensive line for the Lions has been a struggle really all year, kind of been an up and down group of guys. And somebody that really stepped up yesterday, who I thought would could ended up being a wild card for this team was Miles Frazier. A fifth-round pick out of LSU, was injured most of this year. Didn't really get a lot of time in preseason and that. So last night was going to be his first opportunity to really get in-game action and to do it in an absolute must-win game. And I want to play this video. This is Brian Baldinger, NFL analyst. He does a lot of these little cool videos that he pops up on Twitter. It's little 1-2 minute videos where he kind of breaks down different players and that. And this was him breaking down Miles Frazier's play last night.
It's Miles Frazier, the left guard, number 71 for Detroit last night. He's never played in an NFL game. This is his first time he's ever played. Double team with Glasgow, come off on the end. Here comes Ratledge, here comes Penny. And it's like Woodward Avenue is open for business. I mean, that man's going to score every time when you build a wall like that. Get rid of the construction. Just clear out the lane. Beautiful. Now you watch him right here with Decker. Like, this is how you got to do it. Combo block on Quinnen Williams. All right, here comes the middle linebacker, Logan Wilson. You come off on the linebacker, and there goes Montgomery. How about the passing game? All right, let's watch him in the passing game. All right, here he is. All right, now, here comes Shamar Stewart, right? You pass Solly Thomas off to the center right here, and now here comes Shamar James. And you put him right on his James. Like you just dump him. Like it's Sunday afternoon trash. All right, then you get this. Like this is a tough block. All right, you got Quinnen Williams away from the slide. Glasgow's sliding to the right. Right, he's giving all the instructions. You got no help. You and Quinnen Williams one-on-one. Quinnen Williams doesn't lose many one-on-ones. Never has. But you hold up long enough right here on third down so that Goff can make that throw right there to J-Mo. I'd say Miles Frazier, 26, 28 snaps. You know, it wasn't perfect. But there's a lot to like about him.
So pretty encouraging stuff there, Brian, with Miles Frazier, because I got really on Awaska for his play, and just numerous times where I'd watch him and he'd just get beat right off the snap. And to see Frazier be able to step in, his first action as an NFL player and to go one-on-one with Quinnen Williams that you saw at the end of that clip there and hold his own and give – I mean, was it perfect? Yeah, maybe not, but he gave Goff enough time to get the ball down the field on that third down to convert. I mean, that could be a huge move going forward for the Lions here.
It could, because Cologne didn't play really well to start the game. Like,
no, and that's how Frazier got in. Correct. Because originally Frazier wasn't. So I thought Frazier might start.
Right.
But they went with Cologne, and Cologne was getting toward. I think they said the first 7 dropbacks he gave up 4 pressures.
Right. So, and with that, he Alex Gibbs was a former offensive line coach for a lot of different teams, but Hall of Famer. He was really well known with the Broncos. I remember watching a video about him, and he talked about how, when it comes to offensive linemen, like their philosophy was never to draft one extremely high, because they almost looked at it like such a developmental position that they would draft guys late and redshirt them, right? Almost like redshirt them and put them on the practice squad and develop them, right? So like that position, it takes a lot of time to develop. Okay, so this could be a situation where Frazier really just, wasn't ready for the longest time. He was still developing the first part of the season, and so then he got his opportunity, and like that is a good sign to see, because again, we talked about some of the recent drafts, like Brad Holmes, it hasn't been great. The logic is, and they talked about not being great, but like this would be huge for them going forward.
Well, it's this very similar situation to what Christian Mahogany was last year,
right?
Where he was injured. I think he had like an illness, or it was kind of a bizarre deal with him where he missed a lot of time early. But then he was able to come on late, right around this same time, and play a key factor for the Lions down the stretch to end up winning that division and finishing 15-2. And now it seems like Miles Frazier is going to step right into that same role where they absolutely need a left guard to step in. And man, especially after, Frank Ragnow, you thought you were getting him, then you're not. It's just for him to come in and step and play the way he did last night. Like Baldinger said, was it perfect? No, there was a couple times I saw Frazier get beat, but again, it's his first time playing. Right. False start. And those you would expect those things, but those are things you would want to get out of the way in preseason and all that, but he didn't get that opportunity. So You know, those are the type of things you expect. But to be able to that clip though, right there, him going a one-on-one with Quinn Williams on that big third down play and holding in his own, man, that's huge.
Yeah, no doubt. And those are things like we as fans like don't know or don't see necessarily like what goes on in their coaching meetings and at practice and in terms of the development. And maybe he's getting comfortable with the scheme and the calls again and physically getting stronger, whatever it might be. Right. So yeah, I agree with you. That's a big deal, especially because, like I said, I think they want to rely on Gibbs and Montgomery more than Jared Goff, and that's okay. Right. Like, and we've talked about that before. Like when you got horses like that, you got to ride them.
Yeah. When you got one of the best running backs in the league and probably the best number 2 running back in the league in Montgomery, you want to ride those horses, man, as much as you can.
For sure. And I think they have to. I mean, I think they have to do that. That's how they're going to have to win games.
And ideally, you want to keep your defense off the field too.
Correct.
So another guy that was absolutely huge last night, who we thought might not be playing, but ended his game time decision, didn't practice all week, and he steps in and looks like he didn't even miss a beat. Man, that's Amon-Ra St. Brown. I mean, what a warrior, what a leader for this team, and made so many huge plays, a lot of big third down conversions. Just absolutely huge that he played last night.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, he didn't even look hurt. Like, I'm sure he was probably a step slower than he normally is, but there was no limp, right? It didn't feel like that. Like, his route running was still good, and he was still beating guys out the line of scrimmage. And, when you get that type of thing, or when you get that type of production from a guy who's banged up, like you said, a leader, he's a vocal leader, but like in the way he plays too, like that just filters into the rest of your team, right? Like that's just right. It just does. And yeah, he's a dog. He's a dude. He's one of the best players in the league for that reason. And it was a pretty big deal that he was able to do that.
Yeah, my concern was it was going to be kind of like a Jordan Marshall situation, like with Michigan, where he kind of plays that first drive. Maybe he has some big plays in that first drive, but maybe that's all he could give. And we saw with Marshall, man, he's walking. He had the big run, and then all of a sudden you already see that shoulder. He's dangling that arm. We're like, man. And that was all he could give. And that St. Brown, that first catch, man, he got tackled by like 3 guys and got twisted around. I thought for sure he was going to be getting up, limping, and showing a lot of pain. No, man.
Nope.
Right back up, right back down, ready to go, man.
But again, it's a ripple effect throughout your entire team, your organization, right? When your dude can do that, right, and come through and play well. And keep in mind, again, now he has 9 days to literally do nothing if he doesn't want to, which is big, which is a big deal. So, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, absolutely huge. So, where are we at now, Brian? Where's our confidence level? I know, man, we were very critical and pretty down last week. But there was a lot to be critical about, and there's a lot to be down about. There are some encouraging signs, but there's also, you got the branch injury coming out of this. So, some ups and some downs coming out of this, but we're overall, how are you feeling from a confidence level with this team?
So I guess it depends. I mean, I think, they got 4 games left. Do I think they'll be favored or maybe not favored, but do I think 3 of the 4 are legitimately winnable? I mean, all 4 are winnable, I think. Do I think 3 of the 4 are realistic? I do. Does that get you in the playoffs? Probably. But do I think they can make a run to the Super Bowl? I don't. I think their ceiling is going to be the playoffs. Like, what it kind of weird way almost reminds me of? Like, I feel like the Eagles, after they won the Super Bowl that next year, they were really beat up, and Nick Foles was still a starting quarterback, and they lost a tight playoff game to New Orleans. And I remember thinking, like, gosh, if they were healthy, like they might still be okay. But like, it was one of those inspirational still teams that's going to fight and make a little run. But unfortunately, I think they're going to be, capped on how far they can go. But but like you always say, like you just get to the playoffs and you never know, right? And you never know because again, Jahmyr Gibbs. Like, not every team has Jahmyr Gibbs. I mean, that's the thing. Rely on, if you can, like you said, if you can stabilize the interior offensive line, and Frazier can be a dude these next 4 weeks, and you can consistently run the football. Because, like, it's not just the big plays either, right? I mean, they're huge, but, like getting 4 yards as opposed to getting a yard or losing a yard, right? I mean, those are huge from a play caller's perspective. 2nd and 6 is way different than 2nd and 11, And so if they can get to that, they can still make it a decent year. Super Bowl year, like I think which has been the expectation the last couple of years. I don't know.
I think that's where I'm at overall. I think I'm right in lockstep with you. But they go out in LA and win. Now, what are we thinking? Now, what are we saying about this team?
Yeah, I mean, I guess though, my response would be, we thought, well, what if they go to Philly and win? What if they beat Green Bay, or what if they, Thanksgiving? Like we've said those things already. You know what I mean?
And they lost them.
And they lost.
That's why we're feeling this way.
So that'd be great. So if it happens, awesome. I still, again, it'd be nice if like even the Green Bay loss, because like that's a good team they lost to. Like that loss to Minnesota. I mean, if that's the one that keeps them out, like horrible. Like can't.
They let 9 go off. Right?
They did, which is crazy.
We thought that might be the start for McCarthy.
We did, and you're right.
It wasn't it. It was more about the Lions than it was about McCarthy, unfortunately.
Yeah. So I think if I'm making a prediction now, even though they weren't at the 9-4 spot, I think they'll get in. I think it'd be really cool if that week 18, that final game of the year, 17th game is for something. Yeah, because the Bears, like, who knows? Like their schedule's pretty tough these last few weeks. Who knows where they'll be? But if that game doesn't mean anything for them, I mean, I'm sure it will, because the Lions smoked in week 2, and it's still Ben Johnson. But that would be pretty cool. Like I think the Lions can get in. All right, I'll say this: I think the Lions will get in. But beyond that, who knows? I don't anticipate a deep playoff run.
Yeah, because a division win's going to be tough. It really just because kind of the way the schedule lines up, where you got the Bears and Packers play each other twice.
Yep.
So it's kind of hard to jump both of them when they're playing each other.
Right.
So it's kind of a weird situation. It's a weird situation as a fan. Like, who do you root for this week with the Bears and Packers playing each other?
Yeah, I don't think it matters because the Packers have a tiebreaker. Right. I mean, they
do, but the tiebreaker's not really going to matter because they have a tie.
Sure. Well, fair. Yeah. Good point.
But where they do have a tiebreaker potentially is with Chicago.
Yeah, true.
So that's where it's
right.
It's a pretty interesting scenario. I mean, the things will clear up a lot more after this weekend when Chicago and Green Bay play each other. Because whoever wins, they'll kind of settle things a little bit more.
For sure.
And kind of clear things up a little bit more.
Yep. Well, that's why you're the host and I'm just a sidekick, man, because I can I don't remember that stuff. So,
but it is fascinating though if the Lions were able to go in LA and win, because all of a sudden it opens up everything. So because the last 3 games are absolutely winnable.
Yeah. And if you think about it, when was really the last time the Rams have had that letdown game? Right? I mean, they've been
last week, Carolina.
Well, yeah, okay, fair. Yeah, all right, fair. But Carolina, to me, that's not. I don't know if that's like a bad loss. It's not great.
I mean, they have a winning record.
I guess
they're trying to get in the playoffs too. They're in the hunt.
Yeah, I mean, one's the Lions Minnesota thing, or even Green Bay when they lost to Cleveland early in the year. Those are like, right? I mean, those are games.
No, yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
I don't know if the Rams have had that type of game in a while. So, yeah. I'm with you, man. Like, I feel like we've said that for a while. At least we've had interesting football and interesting, story each week. It feels like, right? To see.
Well, yeah. I guess that's what I'm getting to is, like, last week it felt like dire straits. It felt like it was over. Like, but then all of a sudden you get a win. That's how quickly things could change, because then you look at the standings again and it's like,
yeah.
All right, they're really not that far out, let alone from a playoff spot. They're not that far out from the 1 seed.
Right.
Like that's how wild this NFC is. Like there's legit, and maybe Dallas, maybe not so much anymore, but there's a legit. I mean, even Dallas, their schedule is really easy going down the stretch. They might run the table these last 4 games. There's a legit 10 teams that are battling it out this late into the season. You got 10 teams that have 500 or better records. I don't remember a situation like this where this many teams are involved this late that are good. Good. Like they're winning teams.
No, I know, and I don't have it in front of me. Everybody's schedule, obviously, but like sooner or later, the teams that are ahead of the Lions are going to pick each other off, right, a little bit. So it'll be, like I said, I think it's going to come down to week 18. That would be pretty cool. Against a rival. That would be cool.
Ideally, things fall into favor enough where it's actually for the division. That would be mind blowing. That one Chicago for the division, Ben Johnson, that would be the Sunday night game, last game of the year.
For sure.
Man, that'd be incredible.
That would be pretty cool.
But you could be, even if it's just for a playoff spot, if Green Bay gets in, then kind of wraps things up, and then it's Lions Bears for the last playoff spot. That'd be huge too.
I agree.
Yeah. Well, any final thoughts on the Lions before we kind of wrap this thing up, Brian?
No, I know. We feel better today than we would have if they lost. I mean, right? I mean, it's much more fun. It's a much more enjoyable conversation today, and looking forward to the next month than it would have been if they lost. Because if they would have lost, it would have been like I heard it on the radio today, 97.1. The guys were talking about like just wave the white flag. They're so beat up, it's done. But no, like you want. Because there's something else too. Like if it's not this year, like the more playoff games guys play, the more experience they get. Like the more taste they want for that. You know what I'm saying? Is a good thing. Like you never. I'm sorry, I don't think you ever want to wait. You don't want your team to lose and be done if they can get to the playoffs. So I'd rather be the 7th seed and lose than not make it at all. So
I agree 100%. Mm-hmm. So another big game coming up tomorrow. It should be the talk of the sporting world. And it's not, because of the expanded playoffs have ruined so many things for us. But if you just lay it out, Big Ten championship tomorrow, Ohio State versus Indiana, number 1 versus number 2, the only 2 undefeated teams left in the country, 12-0 versus 12-0. Indiana hasn't won an outright Big Ten championship since 1945, and Ohio State hasn't won it since 2020. So 5 years, which feels like forever for Ohio State. So it should be a big game. It should be a huge game. It should be talked about nationally. Not a lot of buzz. Not a lot of buzz right now, Brian. And it disappoints me so much as a college football fan to have a 1 versus 2 matchup. And it just not a lot going on to it, man.
No, that's I agree with you. I think a lot of that, and we've talked about it before, is because, so Indiana, like you said, like they get to hang a banner if they, if they win the Big Ten championship, but they're in the playoffs. Like they have a chance to play for the big championship regardless of what happens. Chances are both of these teams are going to host a home game or have a bye regardless of the outcome, right? And so, you talk about load management and stuff like that. That's really where it's at for these teams. Because last year, again, one of the rematches that happened is Oregon beat Ohio State during the regular season, and then Ohio State smoked them at the Rose Bowl in the playoffs. So, how much did that regular season game in Oregon matter? It really didn't. So this game, unfortunately, could it be something where coaches get really hey, maybe they're going to do some stuff, or maybe they're going to keep some stuff close to the vest and not show it because they know they'll see each other again. Because these 2 teams are probably the 2 best teams in the country right now. And I would be curious to know how the coaches are handling it, because Ohio State just won the biggest game on their schedule up to this point. You can't tell, like we've talked about it before. Last week's game is bigger than winning this game, in my opinion. And to their perspective, right? But to Indiana, maybe it's like, hey, no, man, we want a Big Ten championship. But again, the sport is so weird because historically we would say, heck yeah, you want to hang banners and it's great and think about recruiting and what you're going to, but it doesn't matter anymore. Like you can sell the recruits on anything nowadays, not just this. So I think
sell them literally on money.
You literally can sell them on money. Right. And again, Michigan State and the massive donation they got today. I don't know if you saw it from an investor, like $401 million or whatever toward, their athletes and stuff. Like that's where the game is at. Like these championship games don't matter. Unless, because it would be awful if I feel bad for the teams if they lose the conference championship game. Like Alabama is the talk. If they lose, they're going to get knocked
yeah.
out. But like historically, they haven't punished teams for losing. The conference championship game because like really they're punished for playing at all. Like there are teams that they're sitting and getting healthy and they don't have to worry about it. But it's just I like the Big Ten championship game when it first came out. And I think the first one was Michigan State and Wisconsin. That was fun and it came down to the wire. But now it's gone for me. Yeah.
I got to imagine if you're just talking from an incentive, like which team wants it more, it's got to be Indiana.
Of course.
I mean, it's got to be because Ohio State, like they're trying to defend their national championship. Like that's what's most important to them. For Indiana, like I said, they haven't won this since 1945. Yeah. Like winning a Big Ten, if they win the Big Ten championship and they got knocked out in the first round, it's still going to be the greatest season in the history of their program.
Yep.
Whereas Ohio State, if they win the Big Ten championship game and they got knocked out in the first round or their first playoff game, I should say, like that's going to be a disappointing season to their fan base.
Yeah. 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 No kidding at all. Like we said, so I don't know I'm sure the coaches, their competitors, they're going to come out and say, hey man, no, we're getting our guys ready. We're going to go play. Right. No, we're getting after it and we're going to play. But you have to wonder because you think of Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith for Ohio State. Like they look great against Michigan and they did not play the previous week against Rutgers. Why? Because it didn't really matter. I'd be curious to see early on, like, maybe it's like a preseason game. Those guys get a quarter or something, you know what I mean? And see how the game goes. And then they're just going to rest them. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's a weird situation, really for both coaches. But I probably say Ryan Day more than anybody, because again, how much does it matter in the grand scheme of things? You're going for a national championship. That's the end goal is the national championship. And if you got guys banged up, I mean, you would think the smart move would be arrest them or just play them lightly, or like you said, play it like a preseason game, which. God dang it, man. This is 1 versus 2 for the Big Ten title. You should be, going for an undefeated season. But
so
I hate it. I hate this part. It feels like each year we get something. This is the second year now. It's like things pop up that I didn't really anticipate or didn't think about it beforehand. That once they pop up, it's like, oh my God, I hate this. I hate it.
Well, so think about it this way, and I like the college basketball tournament like anybody does, but I don't love it. And their conference tournaments in college basketball, this is the reason why. Like, imagine this is Duke, Carolina 1-2. It really doesn't mean anything. I'm sorry, they can claim it does, and they can brag about it. And those kids in the moment, we want to win, and those fan bases can brag. But 3 weeks later, if the other team wins a national championship and you don't, who cares? Right? That's like, imagine Duke and Carolina are 1-2 right now in basketball, and this is a basketball thing. It just takes away, like you just said, like it's a 1-2 matchup. And think of the historic 1-2 matchups in my lifetime, like Nebraska, Oklahoma, right? Miami, Ohio State, Miami, Penn State,
Florida State, Miami,
Florida State, Miami, Florida State, Notre Dame, Michigan, Ohio. Like those were like, this is like you said, the hype is just doesn't matter.
It's unreal.
Doesn't matter.
Unreal.
Doesn't matter.
But I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit, but like, how do we fix this? Like, because we're not going back, obviously. Like, we're going to have these expanded playoffs. It's probably going to end up at 16 in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
How do we get rid of championship games, conference championship games? And if you do that, then like, are you just playing a regular season just to see who's going to get voted into the top 16? Like, you're not even worried about conference championships because you're not going to play everybody because the unbalanced scheduling. Like Michigan, like Ohio State and Indiana wouldn't have played each other unless it was for this Big Ten championship game.
Yep. I'm not a fan of a committee. I've said that before. I'd be more than happy to get rid of conference championship games to the points and to the reasons you said. I think at some point the divide between the haves and the have-nots are going to be so big that you're going to have 2 tiers of college football, right? Like you kind of have your group of 5 now and your power 5 conferences, but I think that's even going to grow like wider. Like if you're not all in invested, it's okay. Like have your own NIT tournament, you know what I'm saying? And be in that second tier. And then so you remove those schools that aren't ready to play with the big dogs. You know what I'm saying? And just everybody's left, put them in their conferences and whatever, and then you can do it however you want. Your top 4 teams per conference, right? Each get slots, like whatever it is. Because, yeah, this is all silliness and nonsense. But I remember when the BCS controversy first started, everybody talked about this, and there's some truth to it, right? Poor attention or bad attention is better. Negative attention is better than no attention at all. Like, what are we doing? Like, everybody's talking about it. Everybody's talking about the playoff rankings. Everybody's talking about Miami, Notre Dame, do head-to-head wins matter. Everybody's talking about the group of 5, and they're getting a spot. And, if BYU beats Texas Tech, they're going to steal a bid. You know, like, people are talking about college football. It's still the most popular.
They are. But, man, they should be talking about this game. Like, if you got this game, you got a 1 versus 2 undefeateds. This should be the highest rated game of the year.
Yep.
It's not going to be. It's not even going to be close.
Nope.
And it's sad. It really is. It's sad, and it needs to be fixed. And the only thing I can think of is like, okay, you're becoming the NFL. Like, that's what you want to be. Like, that's where this whole thing's is head towards. They have one foot in right now.
Yep.
Just go ahead and just do the whole thing already. Like just do the whole thing already. Get 2 mega conferences, separate into divisions, and then make it like the NFL. Like we just talked about how important it is between the Lions, Bears, and Packers to win their division, right? How important those in division games were. Well, let's just make it that way. Like have smaller divisions within the bigger conferences. Maybe you have 24 teams in each conference, something like that. You separate into 4 divisions each conference, just like the NFL, exactly like the NFL.
Yeah,
because it feels like in 5 years from now, if not less, that's what it's going to be anyway.
Sure. Do you think part of it, Dan, is Indiana doesn't have the brand? Like if this is against Penn State, if this is against Oregon, Michigan, like if it's like that, do you think maybe it's a little bit different? Do you think the hype, I mean, it'll still be subdued for the reasons we talked about, but do you think it'd be a little bit more interest, there'd be a little more excitement?
I don't know if necessarily the brand, but the storylines, because if somehow this was Michigan, Ohio State, it's got all the built-in storyline. I mean, you obviously get brand with Michigan, I get that, but it would be the storylines within it, right? There's no real storylines here. There's no real intrigue. There's no importance to winning it because it's not going to change anything because you're probably still going to get a bye anyways. Yep. So there's just not a lot here. Let
me ask you this. What if, from a Michigan fan perspective, last week happened, those 2 teams play again? Are you excited? Like, you know what I mean? Michigan would be excited because they want redemption. But if you're Ohio State, you're like, I mean.
I think if Michigan had won, I don't think there would be much, nearly as much. Or excuse me, if Ohio State had won and they somehow played each other again, I don't think there would be as much intrigue. But had Michigan won and they're playing each other again, you still have all the same stories of like Ryan Day can't beat Michigan. They haven't beaten Michigan since 2019. You still have all those.
So really. So what you're saying is, I mean, that's part of the reason that makes college football special is because of things like that, storylines, tradition, right? Rivalries, like that's what makes college football unique and special. Not necessarily the big playoff and all this other nonsense. Big conference championship games.
It's 100% the traditions.
Yep.
And, the fight songs and the color. Yep. I mean, all that stuff.
Yep.
What really separates college football, I think, from the NFL. And I think it will, even when it becomes like the NFL, I think that will be still what can separate college football and still keep it unique. It is the traditions. And, even though we're losing so much of it, but you're still going to have the traditional rivalries, even though, you might have to wait till the playoffs for them to match up. Like you're still going to have a lot of the stuff that makes college football great, but what they're losing and what they continue to lose year in year and what they continue to lose with these expanded playoffs is the importance of the regular season big games. And this is one that just stands out, like it's a 1 versus 2 and it doesn't matter.
Yep. Can we talk about what we think is going to happen on Sunday with the final playoff rankings and with the bracket?
Sure. Yeah, because Notre Dame, I did not think about. I just assumed Notre Dame was comfortably in for a long time now, and all of a sudden they're dropping.
Yeah.
They're blowing teams out 70-7, whatever the score was with Stanford, just smoked them. And they're dropping and dropping and dropping to the point where they could fall right out of this thing.
I know. Well, again, you could have a Power 5 conference again, have a Power 5 conference champion not in the playoff if Duke wins on Saturday.
So I thought they had an automatic bid, though.
They do not. They don't. They'd have to be right. Isn't it the highest rank, because they won't be
because
ahead,
it's the highest. Yes,
they won't be ahead of
it's
James
the highest
Madison
ranked top
correct.
5
conference
winners.
Correct. So yeah, and they won't. They probably.
It's just one of those things you would never think would happen, that an ACC champion would be ranked lower than
no doubt
a Power 5, group of 5 conference champion winner.
So like, imagine though, hey, Miami, you're good. We will put you in over your conference champion.
Insanity.
And that's weird. It's just the schedules, and like they didn't play each other in the regular season, but apparently that doesn't matter head to head. So, all right. So it's just
if North Texas or Tulane or James Madison, it's gonna be one of those 3.
Yeah.
One of those teams. Let's just say it's North Texas. Okay.
Yeah. North
Texas is in the playoffs, and Notre Dame isn't.
That's insane.
I can't. I mean, what are we doing?
Yep.
What are we doing, man?
Yep.
Are you kidding me?
What
is this?
Josh Pate, he had an awesome argument with it. Like he's like us, he's anti-playoff period, but he came to accept it. And like, 2 things can be right at once. He said, like, you missed the old traditional stuff, but home playoff games were pretty cool. Like that was pretty cool last year, right?
Yeah.
But to his point though, the group of 5, let them have their own playoff and their own champion, right? Because everybody, oh no, we love the Cinderella. Think of all those Cinderellas in basketball. It's like, okay, football is different. Like, might they be able to pull off like a Boise, Oklahoma, like that round 1 game? Maybe. But the physicality for playing, those 3 more games against elite national championship contenders, you're not going to have a Cinderella get to a Final Four, get to a final. You're just not, right? You're just not. So let them have their own NIT championship, right? Have them have their thing, crown them, congratulations, all that other stuff. Because don't kid yourself. After the season, now the majority of those kids are going to transfer to a Power 5 school anyway. So what's it meant? You know what I mean? So like, they're a legit feeder program in a legit minor league for the Power 5 now anyway. So whatever.
Yeah, these group of 5 conference championship games might as well be the combine of college football, because it's just where all these these general managers now that all these colleges have, they're just gonna be watching these games to see which players they can poach.
Yeah, well, or like, or hey, Tulane coach, you're gonna go take a job somewhere and bring all your kids with. Yeah, it's just, where do you want to go? I mean,
Florida fans can get excited to see what players they're gonna get.
Yes, it was. That's right. That's him. Thank you. Yes, thank you.
Oh my goodness. Well, speaking of coaches moving to different directions, moving to different schools, Matt Campbell came out today. Matt Campbell's going to be taking the Penn State job. Brian, what are your thoughts on this? My initial thoughts are like, you know what I mean? Like, I think that's a lot of Penn State fans are kind of feeling the same way. Like, okay, we fired James Franklin because he couldn't win a national title and couldn't beat Ohio State, but is this guy going to do it? Like, is this guy going to be the one that's going to take us over that hump to win a championship?
Well, I mean, James Franklin goes to Virginia Tech and starts flipping commits, and they've got a recruiting class ranked, in the top 25. And Penn State's like, I think the recruiting class, after signing yesterday was like below South Dakota State or something. Like, not a good look. I think Matt Campbell is a good football coach. Like, he had a lot of success at Toledo. He's highly respected. His name seems to come up for a lot of jobs, right? So it's not against him. But, man, it just looks bad. It just looks bad. Like, you're getting rid of a guy who made it to the Final Four last year, right? And who had his team, winning 10 games every year, to hire a middle-of-the-pack coach at Iowa State. Like that's the perception, right? And maybe they swung for the fences with a lot of guys, but they also got turned down a couple times. So not good, not a good look. And he might, turn out and be great. He might turn out and it works out, but not a good look at the moment.
If you're Virginia Tech and you had said, 7-8 weeks ago, like, hey, you're going to get a coach. You can either get James Franklin or Matt Campbell. What do you think they're going to pick? It'd be like almost unanimous. They're going to pick James Franklin.
If you're a Penn State fan, who would you rather have, Matt Campbell or Pat Fitzgerald?
I'm gonna. There's gonna be a lot of Michigan fans who think I'm nuts, and maybe not. I mean, Sherrone Moore, though, there's been a lot of critics of Sherrone Moore, but if you're picking one coach right now, I'd be a lot more excited about Pat Fitzgerald than I would be Sherrone Moore, man. I'm watching it. I'm watching his speeches. I'm watching him at the halftime at Michigan State. All these. Sure. I mean, every coach kind of has this stuff, and they're saying the same things. But I don't know, man. There's just something about it, man, that just kind of.
Yes.
I feel like they nailed it. I feel like Michigan State nailed this hire, man.
Of course they did. Like I said, he's like we talked about last time. It probably is like a younger Mark D'Antonio, a little more exuberant than Mark D'Antonio was, I think. But I think similar defensive background, right? Always the talk is he has great relationships with kids, and he's a developer of men in his football teams. And it's from the Midwest, brings a lot of excitement. And that, I'm not going to go that critical of Sherrone Moore necessarily just yet. Although we talked about it, we've had 2 12-team playoff years and Michigan didn't make either one, right? And in the transfer NIL era, and you have a $10 million quarterback, whatever it is, that's cause for concern if you're Michigan.
And Brian, we talked a lot about, I don't want to go down the entire road of going down Sherrone Moore, but we talked a lot about, and we kind of gave some excuses to Underwood and in the passing game in general, but he's a freshman and he's an 18-year-old, but there's other true freshmen around the country who are playing and performed so much better and put up so much more stats and look so much more impressive. That's what's so concerning about Michigan. Like, I know Sherrone Moore can coach the offensive line. I know he can coach a run game. I know he's going to get great running backs. I know they're always going to have a great run game under Sherrone Moore. I know that, but I am not confident that this passing game is going to develop and be good enough to compete at the level that Michigan wants to compete at, and that's at the national championship level and at the Ohio State level. Like, I'm not confident in it right now.
Let me ask you this. So on YouTube, when I go down a rabbit hole and just scroll through there, there's a couple times there'll be a player, and the one I watched today was, hey, what happened to the 40 quarterbacks ranked higher than Justin Herbert? Right. And there's usually they list the guys and they go through it and you look at it. You're like, wow, there's a lot of so-called busts on that list. Granted, they're 17, 18 years old. You don't know how they're going to project to be. You can project, but you don't know for sure what they're going to develop into when they get their man muscles, right? Is it just possible Bryce Underwood isn't as gifted as a quarterback? There's a difference between being having all the tools and becoming a good quarterback, right? Is it possible he's just not going to develop into that superstar that everybody's talking about? I still think he's a decent quarterback. I still think he can turn into a decent, championship winning quarterback, but maybe not the dude that everybody thinks. And Michigan, because their pockets are so deep, hey, you know what? They're showing everybody else though, look, we're willing to spend money on getting the best of the best, right? So it doesn't hurt either way, maybe. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But if you're a quarterback, potentially, it's in the portal or one that's getting recruited, what's driving you to Michigan?
I agree. I think Bryce Underwood's situation, I think if he wasn't local, I don't think he ends up at Michigan.
Oh, and there's no way.
You know what I'm saying? I think there was
the money.
That's but I mean,
that's a big part of it.
But I mean, if he got similar money somewhere else and he wasn't local, I don't think he comes here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I don't think he goes to Michigan. So if you're another quarterback, you're right. I mean, again, Lincoln Riley has developed some really good quarterbacks, for sure. So Dan, that's a fair point.
My thing with all of that is, Brian, okay, you get into the 12th game of the season, you should know what you got in them. You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
he's a great athlete. You got to be able to utilize what he does have, and it's what's so frustrating to me that the passing didn't develop, and maybe it's never going to really develop the way we all thought it was going to develop, and maybe he's just not a quarterback that's going to be able to go through his progression and make his reads and all those things. Like, he might have to be a one-read guy. And, you know, and I was listening to a podcast. I think it was actually Steve Dace with Mark Rogers. Mark Rogers brought it up, and he's like, you know, a quarterback that's very similar. I mean, not quite as, you know, as fast, but kind of a similar style in terms of, like, they're great athletes, but they were never be able to, you know, go through their progressions. And that was Justin Fields with Ohio State. And you're still seeing that at the NFL level with Fields, like, just his inability to, you know, be a pocket passer, but he's got so many other skills that you can still develop game plans and utilize his skills to the best of your ability to make plays. And it just doesn't seem like Michigan did enough of that this year.
I was going to say Tim Tebow. Like, Tim Tebow's a little bit thicker, right? Not as tall. And I think Bryce Underwood has a better arm, but he's a big dude as well, you know? I thought Tim Tebow was a comparison. But
either way, like, guys that can run the ball, and that's even more concerning to me in the passing game not being developed was how ugly utilizing him in the run game looked.
But I know, but let me ask you this though. You know this as a coach. Like, maybe Bryce Underwood is a hesitant runner. Maybe Bryce Underwood has no interest in running the ball 10 times a game. He's like, hey man, I'm a quarterback. I want to.
I'd hate to believe that. Like,
why though? Like, but why? It's not 19.
We could, Brian, I'm just going to say it. If that's the case, then it's a bust. I'm sorry. Okay. If that's the case, it's a bust.
But it's not 1990 where any quarterback is like, I'm doing whatever I can to get the University of Michigan to win. Like, we'll do everything we can to win. Not when there was rumors like, oh, is Bryce Underwood going to transfer now, right? Or not, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't. Who knows? Like, who knows anymore? Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, there is a road we could go down, and I don't want to go down the road because that's a road of bashing an 18-year-old, and I'm not going to do that.
No.
But all I'm going to say is that the whole thing, everything that looked throughout the whole season, but especially the Ohio State game, it wasn't right. It didn't look right. Nothing looked right about that. Nothing what we were told and what we were sold going into the year. That did not come to fruition throughout this season.
Well, I hope we can have a discussion about what you just said. You don't want to bash an 18-year-old because there are people out there bashing him. But the problem is there's no path for a high school kid to go directly to the pros and get paid. That's the problem. And if people can say all they want. Physically, they're not ready. Mentally, they're not ready. That's great. But it happens in the NBA, and they sit guys and they develop them and they put them in the G League, or kids go over to Europe and play to develop, right, and then come back. Okay, so don't give me that. Like, it's happening because, like, he's in this position, period, and NIL is happening because those kids don't have the opportunity to go to the next level, flat out. And that could be a discussion for another day.
Yeah, and the other aspect, they're getting millions of dollars before they ever step on the field.
Yes. Like, why? So I'm not saying this is this is in Bryce Underwood's case. Okay, because again, like you said, that's not fair to him. But any incoming freshman, right? Like, you know how they talk about in the pros when they get their contract, are they going to lose that drive? Because you know what I'm saying? They're past their rookie contract and they got their payday. Are they going to lose that drive a little bit because now they're secure and everything's good? You wonder again. Like, he probably was 17 when he made this decision, right? There were 17-year-olds that were making this decision, right? How much of that? You know, do they lose that drive? They're still a kid.
He's already set for life.
He's set for life. He and his kids and grandkids are set for life. And he doesn't have to do any. He could throw for 60 yards against Ohio State, and he's still set for life. Right? So you wonder, and again, that's not a knock on him. That's just the reality of what it is. So I don't know. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Gosh, we have some good discussions, man. We go all over the place, but like we could do this all night.
There's so many topics to dive into. And the exciting part, Brian, is we got some pretty exciting guests on the way. We're not going to announce it yet because we don't have anything locked in yet. But we're in some talks to bring in some pretty exciting guests that we're pretty excited about and kind of moving this whole thing along a little bit forward, Brian. And it's pretty exciting.
We're fired up, man, and doing great things. Dan, I'm glad I'm a part of it.
Yeah, pretty cool. Pretty cool. But that'll do it for us tonight. This is another edition of Inside the Coach's Office. For Brian Barnes, I'm Dan Murphy, and we'll see you in a couple days.
Peace out.